Alright, thanks for clicking on the video. This is Gulpane, just back with another quick Resident Evil Relaxation. And today on Resident Evil Relaxation, we're having a look at Resident Evil Survivor on the old PlayStation 1. So, I played Resident Evil 2, loved it, fantastic game. Then I think I played Resident Evil 3, and then this was after it was out first. And then I went back and played Resident Evil 1. Then I played Resident Evil Survivor, and it's very strange. It's like, if you look at it, I'm not sure if you'd actually describe it as a Resident Evil game. Like, it is called Resident Evil Survivor, so technically it is a Resident Evil game. It's not one of the numbered games in the series. It's like a side story, but it's strange. There is actually a series, the Gun Survivor series, which has this one as the first one, and then the second one is the Code Veronica one, which is basically like you're just kind of Claire and Steve and you're running around like various areas from Resident Evil Code Veronica. And then the third one then is the Dino Crisis one, which is they're both for the PS2, and then they sort of stopped doing them then. Well, those sort of ones. And then they had the rail shooter ones, Darkside Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles. So I think there's like 5 games in this sort of series, this sort of side series, which is kind of like loosely. It's not. I suppose this one would be canon. Code Veronica is not canon, and the third one is a dinosaur one, so that's not actually part of the Resident Evil series. Well, I don't think so anyway. Although I think it should be. I think they should expand the universe into like Regina and the rest of not Dino Crisis 3 obviously, but the rest of the Dino Crisis people, and then yeah. So I think there'll be 5 in this sort of like where you use like a gun, like an external gun, like well, I suppose in the Wii you're still using the controller, but it's just like a gun, mold or something. But this one, I'm not sure if you can use a mouse in this one, because again, I think when this came out, I think there was like trouble or something in the United States with gun violence. So I'm not sure they wanted people like using a gun peripheral, and like Lethal Enforcers and other games like in the early 90s were also kind of under scrutiny for usage of like guns. So. But you use a gun in all these games anyway. But I don't think they want people like having an actual physical gun. Even the Wii one is like, it's obviously not a gun, so they don't want people like, holding up a store or something with a fake gun. But yeah. So this one, you move around normally, and then you hold the aim button to aim, obviously, and then you shoot. So it was kind of running a bit slow for me here as well. I'm not having much luck with emulators in Resident Evil at the moment. That seemed to be the best one. I just have the, like put the PS2 games or the PS1 games into the PS3 Fat Boy and play away then. But yeah, so this one, it's like you're Ark Thompson, and it's so weird, this game, because they're using assets from Resident Evil 2. Maybe Resident Evil 1 as well, I'm not sure, but they definitely have the liquor from Resident Evil 2, and the zombies are like, they look very, very similar to the zombies in Resident Evil 2. The clothes that they wear and all that. One of them is like the exact zombie from Resident Evil 2, I think. I recognise him because I've killed him many times. The same zombie, or not killed him because he's already dead. Well, I put him down, and then he gets back up. But yeah, the story, there's 2 kids as well, and it doesn't make sense at all, because the 2 children are like freely running around this zombie infested area, like not being attacked by zombies or anything. Lickers, and I think there's hunters in this as well. So there's quite a lot going on in this game, and it does have the aesthetic of a Resident Evil game, but it's just, the story is awful in it. I don't know what they were thinking. And there's like a guy, you're the main guy in it, but you've lost your memory, and then someone else, you think you're a killer, and then you turn out not to be a killer, and then Leon Kennedy is mentioned in it once. And I remember when Leon was mentioned, I was like, oh, Leon's going to be in it. Because he's like the most, I think him or maybe Jill now are the most recognised kind of characters in Resident Evil, like Leon Kennedy, maybe Jill from Resident Evil 3, Chris as well. There's a few characters that are sort of, you could say, like are the main characters, but Claire Redfield obviously, but because they all have like multiple games each. But there is no like one main character of Resident Evil. I suppose like, Ethan in the new ones, but well, I suppose he's got the biggest games, but he's like he's similar to the guy in this actually. His like identity is obscured. You don't really see him, like it's this first person mode. He is in the cutscenes, Ark Thompson, but yeah, it's not really like the story in this is just not a Resident Evil story either. Well, I suppose actually, do you know what? If you think about Code Veronica and Resident Evil Dead Aim, I think Dead Aim is maybe that'd be 6 games in this sort of series then actually, because even though Dead Aim has you like walking around as normal, like it's like Code Veronica until you actually like stop and then you go into this sort of first person shooter mode in Dead Aim as well. So it's similar to this. So maybe there's 6 games, but they're all sort of like they're not really the same. Like this is not the same as a rail shooter. I wouldn't put this in the same genre as a rail shooter, which Darkside Chronicles is, and Umbrella Chronicles, and then the Code Veronica one is kind of similar to this. It's just like a first person shooter. Whereas rail shooters are sort of different. So maybe we'll put the 4 first person shooters in one genre, and then Darkside Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles in its own sort of thing. Well, maybe we can anyway. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, Darkside Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles aren't their own games either. They're just retellings of like different Resident Evil games with like little kind of extra bits in it, backstory with Krauser and Leon, etc. and all that. But whereas this one is its own game, and so is Dead Aim. And also, well, the Code Veronica one is like a dream or something, so that's not really, that one's out on its own. And then the Dino Crisis one is I don't even know what the story is in the Dino Crisis one, and I only played it for a few minutes. I have it, but I never really got into it, because it's just a mindless shooter, and it's not very good either. It's not really expanding on like you're not like Regina going around in a new mission with like a little bit of intrigue, which you are in Dino Crisis. This one, like, you have the dogs, you have the lickers, you have the zombies, you have like the mystery. This one's a bit more like Silent Hill actually than Resident Evil. It's not really, it's kind of going away from like a B movie into more like a psychological thriller, I think. So I know they are experimenting with the 3D backgrounds here and the perspective. So this is like, you could say this is like very, very early, like Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil Village, a very early version of it. Maybe you should put this one in the same category as, this is like Resident Evil 7 Part 1. And instead of Ethan, you have Ark Thompson. I think this actually fits with those better. Even like the way the story is, it's like a kind of a psychological story about the main character. Whereas the other Resident Evil games, the psychological story is mostly about like the enemy character. They're like going through some sort of strange kind of like reality kind of mix or something like that. The like in Code Veronica, or even like Brian Irons in Resident Evil 2, Wesker in Resident Evil 1, they're sort of like, they're kind of strange. But yeah, when I played this first, I couldn't get into it. I did not like it at all. I remember watching like Alpha Omega Sin. When I was playing this, Alpha Omega Sin was quite popular. He's like a YouTuber that was out years ago, but then he kind of retired or something. He makes one video every year now, I think. But he used to be quite popular, like rant videos. But he did a playthrough of this, I think in like 2012 or something. And I watched the whole playthrough. And it's kind of strange in this game. If you just face the wall, the enemies can't hurt you, or there's some kind of glitch in it where if you're around the wall area, you just don't get attacked. It's very, very strange. But yeah, it's a first person view. Story's weird. There's different weapons in it, but it's kind of like, it's not really survival horror, I don't think anyway, because you have infinite ammo for your base weapon, so you can just keep reloading. So you're not really under threat of running out of ammo at any stage. The only threat you're in is basically, trying to reload in time before the enemy characters kind of gang up on you. Plus, there's not many. Like in Dead Aim, there's quite a lot of zombies on the screen at once, so it gets quite difficult because there's a lot of them coming at you. Plus, you have to stop. You can stop and run away back into third person view in Dead Aim. Whereas in this one, there's not that many kind of assets on screen at once. I don't think so anyway. And then even in the later part of the game, it's still kind of, you're not really under threat, like, because you can just kind of walk backwards and keep shooting at them, and they'll eventually go down. Yeah, but it does have all the the puzzles and the keys and stuff, the traditional Resident Evil sort of tropes, and it looks pretty good for a PS1 game, I have to say. So if you've played Resident Evil Dead or Resident Evil Survivor, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios, thanks for watching.